Yeah, first of all, you're signed to Matador Records right now.
Yeah.
How happy are you? Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I'm still also working with City Slang in Europe and UK, and Matador for the rest of the world. So I feel like I'm pretty stoked, pretty set. Yeah.
Was it something special for you to sign with them?
Was it what?
Special to sign with them?
Yeah, I mean it's something that I think maybe took a little bit to sink in. And then I had a friend who said, oh wow, congratulations, knew that I really liked all those rosters from when I was younger. And I had kind of forgotten that maybe, I was kind of reminded that maybe I'm like living like my teenage dream now. And that was pretty awesome.
Are you living your teenage dream?
I feel like my 15-year-old self would be approving of what I'm doing.
That's really good.
I think that's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, how important is this, well, the step for you? You've been making music, I think, well, for almost 20 years now. Maybe not even, but 15, 16 years at least?
It's something like that, yeah.
You had M's for Christ, you had Gowns, and then you have your solo project.
Mm-hmm.
How do they all fit together for you?
Well, so I think there's actually a pretty kind of clear trajectory from when I was like 15. So you can imagine like 15-year-old Erika with like maybe like a shaved head and, you know, the same combat boots on, like fronting a punk band in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And it was actually musically kind of similar to what I'm doing now, although I didn't necessarily have the vocabulary to say that. So, you know, we'd be playing a song and say, okay, play a bunch of really weird stuff, and then I'm gonna talk over it, and then we'll like do the song, and then, you know, just like play a bunch of other stuff like loud, you know, and that's what I would say when I was like 15, and now I'm like, okay, let's do like a drone intro while I do some spoken word on it, then I'll cue the song, and then we'll have a percussive part that kind of breaks down and have like another sort of, you know, percussive improvisation towards the end.
And when did all this vocabulary come?
I think it was kind of hanging out with some art school kids in LA, and lots of California. Like I didn't go to music school, but I hung out in those circles of like, you know, CalArts or Mills, and so I like picked up some stuff, picked up a couple things.
That's good. Well, it's been 3 years since your previous album. How do you look back on that album? What are your first thoughts on it when you think about it?
I haven't listened to it for a little while. I think I'd probably be surprised, because it's probably different than how I remember it being. Like it probably sounds different than what I think of it sounding like. But
what do you think then?
I think when I step outside of myself, when I'm able to do that, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. There's like this weirdo chick, and she's making this weird music, and that's cool. If I can divorce it from my own self, then I think I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty sweet.
But do you feel like a weirdo chick?
I don't know. I mean, I'm like inside of it all often, but whenever I can like get out of myself enough to see myself from the outside, I'm like, oh yeah, that's okay. You know, because I'd be hard on myself when I'm inside. I get too worried and too anxious about things, but then when I can kind of like, forget about the ego, forget about the self for a second, I'm like, all right. Don't worry so much, Erika. It's okay.
Your last album meant your break, your breakthrough.
Oh
your
yeah,
previous
okay.
album. Was it good, the album, in hindsight for you?
Was it good?
Yeah.
Do you mean like was it music?
No, for you, yeah, musically.
Was it musically good?
Yeah, for you.
Like I said, I haven't listened in a while.
What I mean the songs, and because you've written now many, well, you've written 11, at least 11 new songs.
Yeah.
And if you compare the songs that you have now with those songs, do they still stand the test of time for you? Your own standard?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think, you know, they were written in a time of very kind of non-self-consciousness and kind of a free time, which I think is good for making art.
What sort of time were you in them? What sort of time frame, mind zone back then?
Back then, it's varied. You know, it's not all. It's hard for me to give like one answer for it.
And this album?
This album, I was kind of like a little more pissed off, I guess.
How come?
Well, I think that everything that happened with the last record, while a lot of it was like really great and really good, there were things that were really hard for me to deal with. But I didn't want to talk about it with people because I felt like it was strange to talk about, or I just didn't, I don't know, I didn't want to complain about anything because everything felt really nice, you know, and it was awesome that so many things were happening. But then when I got home, and I was like a little pissed off for a while.
Do you want to share what you were pissed off with?
It was weird to, it was weird to have like pictures of myself on the internet. I don't know why. And I know that maybe that's not a common complaint, but it made me feel really, really strange sometimes.
In what way?
I don't know. Like it was, it's not just that. I mean, I think it was just like it was kind of hard going from being someone who's very like more obscure and in kind of like in a smaller music circle, and any sort of like success, like in some ways made me feel a little bit just kind of dissociated from myself. And I think it was just like a weird process for me. I don't want to say it was all bad, because there were many things that were absolutely wonderful, but whenever things didn't feel so good or so right, it was hard for me to share it or talk about it. And then when I got home, I just felt a little crazy. And so then I wanted to make a really noisy record that was kind of pissed off. I wanted to make beautiful things too, but I needed like a little bit of like bravado and a little bit like fuck you punk to like protect myself.
From being too vulnerable.
Maybe.